What is up, humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today I am talking about all of the Yu-Gi-Oh sets from 2021. I'm not exactly ranking them in this video. Maybe I'll do that in a later video, but today I'm just trying to focus on the fact that like the first half of the year, it kind of felt like lackluster. It felt like Konami couldn't really make a good set. It was like mediocre core set, mediocre side set, mediocre side set, mediocre deck build pack, one after one after one. And now that we've gotten like through the first half of the year, it feels like every set has been like a banger in one way or another. And so today I'm going to be focusing on that and just talking about that and like kind of just wondering like what's going on there. Like I get it. A lot of like gaming companies like to do their heavy releases during like the winter months because they tend to sell better, but like I don't see why that makes it so that your first half of the year has to be completely lackluster products. I don't get it. But let's jump into it. We're going to go set by set and just talk about, we're just going to zoom through. Obviously, we started Legendary Duelist Season 2. The Legendary Duelist Season boxes are not that great. It feels like there's only like 5 cards that that even could be desirable in like any box. It's nice for like the top end cards from the Legendary Duelist packs that they're collectibles, they're from main character archetypes, so like they end up getting up there without a reprint, so it's nice to see the reprints, but outside of those very specific cards, it's like the set, you want like nothing from the set. You want none of the bulk or anything like that. So really, really lackluster there. Next up, we have Blazing Vortex. This card, or this set, is one of the worst core sets we've had in a while. When you really go through the contents of this product, it's literally like Pot of Prosperity. I think Tri-Brigade Kit is in this set, and like there's nothing else that was like competitive relevant. I guess there was like one Virtual World card, whatever, not enough. So yeah, like feels so bad, man. Yeah, this set is like literally prosperity or bust. That's pretty much what it comes down to. So definitely a huge whiff for me. By the way, we're in February 4th. Next we move over to Structure Deck Freezing Chains. Holy crud, man. This is one of the worst structure decks we've had in a long while. And Konami had been like kind of killing it with structure decks as of lately. You know what I mean? We got like the Salamangreat one a couple years ago. We had the Endymion one, which was pretty good, and we've had some pretty decent ones since then. Structure Deck Zombie Horde, pretty good, right? Like we had some good ones, and then they made this where like literally it's just the nutritional synchro and like nothing else is like desirable from this. Yeah, like a Pointer of the Red Lotus being like the only real, like surface is cool, but like not a ton of like reprints that even like matter at all. So yeah, Freezing Chains definitely is low on my product ranking list. Then we move to Ghosts from the Past. This was an interesting set, kind of new. I think this year's Ghosts from the Past will be much better than last year's. Really, the only desirable things from last year's are like Sun Avalons and like Dragoonity. Other than that, there's like some nice reprints here and there but it's nothing like crazy. Yeah, like there's a lot of reprints, but like, I don't know, Evenly Matched is nice, right? And stuff like that. But like, yeah, I think like as far as like new stuff goes, like Sun Avalon is great. And like, yeah, we got Shadal stuff, we got Necros stuff, but they're not even like being played in their own respective decks. Like the Time Thief stuff is cool, but it wasn't good enough to really fling them into like better play. So, yeah, I think this year we'll get like a better, maybe not even better than the Sun Avalon, but even if it's on the same level, I'd be happy. Give us a new archetype that's better than Starry Nights, please. They are so bad. And I think this is the classic. This makes sense that like the Agent structure deck stuff will be imported instead of the Dragoonity stuff. I think that would make perfect sense. And then a bunch of reprints. So hopefully this year's will be better, but this was a lackluster set for sure. Moving on here, we have Ancient Guardians, the first deck build pack of the year. That we're into May 6th now. And listen, we got Ogdo Addicts, mediocre, Sulfur mediocre, Ursa Arctics, mediocre. Now, Ogdo Addicts and Ursa Arctics specifically are getting a lot better very soon. They've been getting, a lot of Reptile support for Ogdo Addicts and more in archetype cards, and Ursa Arctic gets that crazy new spell in the next core set. So like they're gonna get better, but as far as like this set, they are really underwhelming. This was a really bad like deck build pack. Usually you want at least one archetype that has like fringe competitive nature to it, but none of these were good enough to be considered that, and that's kind of a bummer. moving on here, we get to the next core set of the year. This is Lightning Overdrive. I think this is actually the first like decent set of the year. And like we're still a little bit early, but I think the set is like okay. I kind of talked the setup like it was crazy, but that was more my personal biases, right? Like I love trap tricks. I like live twins, so getting more support there was cool. Adding Nisters, becoming like playable as like a competitive deck was really cool. Rose Dragon stuff, all that stuff, right? I think the one thing this set is kind of missing is that top end stuff. Like the legit two most like chased cards in this set were like Diviner of the Herald and where is he at? Like Drytron Mubeta Fafnir. Other than that, I don't know if there was another like really high-end secret rare that I was like, that anybody's like, ooh. Book of Lunar Eclipse is just like what maybe could have been cool, but it's just like way worse than Forbidden Droplets, and it can be played around because it has to book 2 monsters. So there's other cool stuff like Bengal Lancer. So I think this set is like solid, but it's not like great. There's not as good like top end cards that you really want to find that aren't like archetype specific. So I do think this set is like decent, like a 6 or a 7 out of 10, but not like amazing. So yeah, we're in June, but like that's our first like decent set. Then we get to the next structure deck, which is the God deck, Slifer and Obelisk. These are fine. They're clearly very straightforward, geared towards the collector scene. So it is what it is. I'm not going to, grind on them too much, but if you are a competitive player, these sets mean nothing to you, like at all. Which moves us to King's Court. I think King's Court is like okay. I think it could have been better. The Joker stuff is fun, but it's not insane. None of the support here is like crazy. I will say F-Zero Utopic Draco Future does help this set a lot. So does the reprint for Lightning Storm, which I believe is in here. Yep, Lightning Storm, World Legacy Guard Dragon, pretty cool. So there's like a couple of like really, really nice reprints, and then after that, you just kind of scroll through everything else. You're like, man, oh, Dolko's pretty good. And you're like, okay, whatever, fine. So it's really like, this is one of those sets where it's like, Draco Future or Lightning Storm. You better pull one of them because there's not much else in the set that you're really gonna want. So I think it's meh. I think it's probably like a 5 out of 10. Like again, another underwhelming one. This is July 8th now, and then I believe we start getting into the better stuff. Dawn of Majesty, a better core set than I really gave it credit for immediately. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's like pretty good. I think when you go through the stuff, I think Despia is a pretty good archetype. B Trooper, I think, is a pretty good archetype. I think it'll be better once we get the Inzector card, as long as they don't shit all over that Inzector card. There, we've also got some cool like generic cards. Anti-Human Intelligence, Misayas, pretty cool. I think this set's fine, right? You get like Sunny Snitch. There's cool stuff in this. This set felt more like a setup set. I'll say that. Like I don't think the set itself is amazing, but I do think there's a good amount of setup that like kind of leads us into the next core set. Like, B Troopers getting more support, Despia getting another big wave of support, and other stuff like Magic Key as well. And there were some nice cards in here, but they're not like crazy. So I think this set's probably like a 6 out of 10, maybe slightly worse than Lightning Overdrive, but it's fine. Like this set is fine. And this is August 12th, and I think now is where we start like the train of like really solid sets. Obviously, Megatins, always great. Like the only like thing you can complain about with the Megatins every single year is like, oh, there's one, maybe 2 cards that people wanted generically to be in the tins, and they didn't end up being in there. It was Access Code this year, but Access Code's in El Dorado, so like immediately after it's getting like a decent reprint, so it really doesn't matter. So like Megatins never miss. I don't need to really talk about that too much. Structure deck, Cyber Strike. I think this is like, well, I don't think this is like an amazing structure deck. I do think it makes like getting like Cyber Dragon stuff a lot easier. Cyber Darks, they took an archetype that was like completely unplayable and made it playable, whereas Freezing Chains took Ice Barriers and didn't even make them playable. So like I think this is like way better, although I think it could have been better, but I think it's decent for what it is, right? I think it's like a decent structure, probably like a 6 out of 10 overall. And they also put in Perm in here, so that actually makes this so good. This is going to be worth money. I'm telling you that right now. Then we move to Legendary Duelist Synchro Storm. If you do not know this, I've been praising this set. This is the best Legendary Duelist we have seen in like years and years. We keep getting these like sets like these, and they're just like straight collector sets. They don't do enough for archetypes to make them competitive, and like they're like fun, but they're not great. And like finally we get like making one speedroids from like a, you know, table 500 deck to like a legit like rogue deck. If you play it, you can like legit scrap up some meta decks. 2, Lyralists. Lyralists are like what, borderline tier 1? I mean, they're being splashed in Tri-Brigade as a tier 1 deck. The pure version is probably like a tier 2 deck, almost tier 1. And when you look at the Sherry LeBlanc stuff, you're like, what even is this jumble of mess? And it is kind of a jumble of mess, but we got Baroness de Fleur, who is now like the chase card in the set. It's like $140, and it's a generic splashable synchro Omni Negate, and that's always amazing. So really, really good stuff. I think this set really has taken, I hope they keep this up. The next Legendary Duels looks really good. I would say the only thing it doesn't seem to have is like a Baroness de Fleur type card, like that big generic, like crazy card that everybody's going to want, but they can still like have some banging reprints to kind of cover that up. But I do think the archetypal support in that set is going to make like multiple things kind of like legit competitive. So I think I'm okay with that. Moving on, we have Birth of Destiny. This is by far the best core set of the year. It's probably the best set of the year. We have Flunders in here. That's like borderline tier 1 right now. Sword Soul in here gets its debut. That's literally tier 1 right now. We have rocket support. We know rockets are cool. Rockets are good. You have generic cards like Lord of the Heavenly Prison. We have generic cards like Boroko Dragon. We'll see how much play Boroko Dragon ends up seeing, but I think it could see some cool stuff. You have the second wave of Despia support, another wave of B-Trooper support, you know, all these fringe like tier 2 decks, right? Like trying to get into tier 2. Cupid Pitch is an underlying like generic card that's going to make like Hulk potentially really good again. Crazy. Magic Key gets their next wave. Like there's so much good stuff in here. Like Evil Twins are legit like a playable like tier 2 deck now because of Trouble Sunny. It's crazy. There's really a lot of good support in here, as well as some generic stuff. This is the best core set of the year, and I don't think it's that close. 2 competitive archetypes making a lot of decks like Rogue because they weren't good enough before, and now they are. This set's amazing. This is one of the best sets of the year for sure. Then we go to Maximum Gold. This one is about to come out. Actually, I think it literally comes out today. And listen, it's Maximum Gold. There's a ton of good reprints in here. It's kind of like Megaton's status, right? Like they're almost never going to miss. The only thing you can argue is if there's like 2 or 3 cards that you were like, no, I needed that to be in there. But other than that, like you're not going to complain because you're going to make your value back on these like almost every time you open it. So really good set, always is. And the last set of the year for 2021 is Brothers of Legend. And we just got this set fully revealed to us earlier this week. And there's a lot of good stuff in it. We're getting Utopia stuff. I think Utopia becomes like a legit rogue deck. Who knows? Maybe it'll climb up into tier 2. Same thing with Sharks. Sharks get a ton of support here. And now all we have to do after this is just wait until the next Legendary Duelist to get the final like Shark support. And even then it may already be like a legit tier 2 deck. I think Sharks are like legit. We get some... we get another like adding Nister card, just another reborn spell for them. We get a search card for Speedroids, cool. We get a ton of stuff in here. There's really a lot more stuff, and there's actually some pretty good reprints as well as you go down the reprint list. I don't have time right now to go through everything, but Droplets in here, Beatrice, Downerd Magician is huge. Oh my god, if you were like a budget player and you played a deck that needed Downerd, crazy. And also Magician Soul. So there's some crazy reprints. Nothing like straight up competitive as far as like the new stuff goes, but you have like stuff like the Utopia and the Shark stuff that is going to make those decks legitimately competitive adjacent like out as soon as they get these cards. So I am for it all the way. So when you really go down and look at it, this is December. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one's meh, but 5, like almost straight, like full sets that are like bangers in a row. Plus, Grand Creator's going to have the Brave token stuff. That stuff is going to be huge for the metagame. The other stuff in that deck build pack isn't great, but that stuff at least saves that set for me. We're going to get the Water Duelist, Legendary Duelist pretty soon. That's going to be crazy. And Battles of Chaos has some really cool stuff as well. I think that's probably a hit set as well. So again, the beginning of the year, really lackluster. The back half of the year has been nothing but crazy. And maybe it's just the fact that like the Megatons and El Dorado all kind of happen like right next to each other. But I think they still nailed Burst of Destiny. I think they nailed Brothers of Legend. I think Grand Creators with the Brave token stuff is going to be saved. And I think it's kind of like Konami, what happened in the first half of the year? Like what happened in Blazing Vortex? What happened in Ghosts from the Past? Hopefully they fix it this year. Hopefully these kinds of sets are like just better. right? Like that's all I can say is like, hopefully these kinds of sets, they just like are like, yeah, these sets do not sell when we make them poop, so let's make them better. I hope that's financially how it works because it really suck if they sell and they're just like, well, I guess we don't have to make amazing sets, because obviously that'll just backfire on us, the player base. But really, really cool stuff. I just thought it was interesting that like just the way everything had been shaking out for the year. But let me know your thoughts down below. Like, what do you think? Do you disagree on some of these sets? Do you think like going into next year, the sets don't look as good as I think? Let me know your thoughts down below. I'll be curious to see what you guys think there. But that is going to do it from here today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel for more stuff from me. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.